Good morning to all, and it gives me a lot of pleasure to be here with you all, especially on this particular conference on demonology. And first of all, I have to thank Professor Śiva-Naṭarāja for giving me a chance to present my paper here in this particular conference. And especially, I'm very happy to listen to Professor Ajay Kumar and Dr. Satyamurthy, because when I was listening to Professor Satyamurthy, he has did some of my what I want to present in my paper. He has reflected some points on that, because particularly to say about the demons are not outside; they are inside us. So in my particularly in this lecture, I've been speaking about this to Śiva-Naṭarāja, and in a short chat, and I told her about a particular idea about Kāraikkālammaiyār. Then after, while working on the Kāraikkālammaiyār, it happened to me that I was able to recall the particular Namavali of Shiva, that is Kuṟaṭpūtaccelvam. That is Kuṟaṭpūtaccelvam. Now let me define. So my title is Dance of Kuṟaṭpūtaccelvam, my appaṉ Śiva-Naṭarāja as versified in the hymns of Kāraikkālammaiyār. So here is my title. To say like there are infinite number of Buddhas and Ganas as they constitute the wealth of Shiva. The term Kuṟaṭpūtaccelvam means this is it. So that's why I call that, particularly when Shiva dances, his wealth is not about like that of Lord Vishnu, about the wealth. Real wealth, but it is about the Ganas and the Buddhas, what he won. That becomes his main wealth. Here, I wanted to particularly put one thing here to say like Virataneshwara is one of the Ashtaviratanams in the Tonde region. Here you can see the particular bronze of Nataraja with the Nalvar, that is to say like Manikavasagar, Sambandar, Sundarar and Navukarasar with Ammaiyār present in this particular thing. Ammaiyār is not kept in a line with the mover. Usually she stands aside the main Nataraja image. Here, especially I want to emphasize one particular thing here, that is to say like in the cult of Nataraja has, from literature, we can start it from very early period onwards, from the Tamil literature, but in particularity, with that of the Bhakti period, it becomes a very important theme, not only in literature, but also in the visual implication. To say, that is the cult, the Nayanmas, that is the Śiva-Naṭarāja, where the saints who propagated the cult of Shiva during the medieval period in South India were considered to be 63 in a popular idea, whereas Secular in his Tirutondra Puranam lists more than 70. Particularly when it is 63, we call as Arbattu Moobar. Chundarar, one among the Thevaram trio, was the first to versify the account of their hagiology in Tirutondra. Later, Nambiyandar Nambi, who recovered the forgotten Shaiva canon from the great temple at Chidambaram, Thillai, prepared a much more elaborate version of the hagiology in his work Tirutundar Tiruvandadi, part of the 11th Tirumarai in 11th century. A detailed biography of the Nayanmar that was the work of the celebrated poet Sekkilar, whose Tirutundar Puranam, also called as Periya Puranam, presents a comprehensive account. So, starting from to say like 9th to 12th century, the hagiology of this particular Shiva-Naṭarāja has been traced, especially to say like during the period of Sundara, then Nambiandar Nambi and Shekila, it has been clearly versified, and that comes to a complete identity. Atteva. Yeah. Before moving into this particular literary thing, I wanted to shed some light on the bronzes that are three important bronzes of Kāraikkālammaiyār. The one in the Nielsen Ethnic Museum of Art at Kansas is very important in this perspective, because Vidya, starting from Vidya Degijia and especially to say like Indra Viswanathan Peterson, lot of people has worked on the particular bronzes and have given enough, shed much light on the bronzes to say like. Especially when we speak about the bronzes, I had a small problem when I've been going through all these images. In particular, we can see that the all the major bronzes of Kāraikkālammaiyār has come out in into art form, especially during the 10th to 11th century, to say like particularly during the period by the period of Rajaraja and Rajendra Chola. This particular bronze, in reality, from Anuradhapura Archaeological Museum from Sri Lanka, it's also dated to 11th century, but for at least some time during when the image was excavated, for some time it was not really identified as Ammaiyār, Kāraikkālammaiyār, but as Chamunda. I can understand the problem, because at very early stage, the identity of Kāraikkālammaiyār bronzes was not that familiar, but now in a probable way, the bronzes, all these bronzes are comfortably identified as Kāraikkālammaiyār. In reality, to say about this particular bronze, it was identified as Chamunda because in the Yogini, that is in the 64 Yoginis, there is one particular yogini in the region of Orissa and Bangladesh, what is called as Dandura Devi. She has also much very similar iconographical feature of Kāraikkālammaiyār. So while writing the paper for publication, I think I need to check with all the literature and also with further visual forms of this particular Dandura Devi, what she has to do with that of Kāraikkālammaiyār, because for much time the identification of Kāraikkālammaiyār with that of Chamunda, Dandura Devi should have been there must have been some publication. I need to check with them. And so here you can see that it is clearly titled as Chamunda. From the bronze is being dated to 11th century, but in reality, the bronze belongs to the Pullanurva period and from the Anuradhapura, and it can be comfortably dated to 11th century. That's in particularly, I wanted to make this point on the bronzes of Kāraikkālammaiyār. And one more from the Metropolitan Museum, that is also a very important bronze, and that's dated to 13th century. Among the 63, Kāraikkālammaiyār, that is the mother of the city of Karaikal, she is believed to be the earliest of all 63 and dated in the fag end of the 5th century. Her work in praise of Śiva-Naṭarāja is called Mūta Tirupadikam, that is the sacred decade, the elder. In Saivet tradition, that Ammayār was the first to inaugurate the stage of the Tamil lyrical hymnal composition. Her work consists of 143 that multiply into tens and thousands, during the millennia that her followers. Ammayār's works were included in the 11th Tirumurai. They were grouped under the following heads, that is Thiruvalangattu Mūta Tirupathikam, 22 hymns, and Thiru Irattai Manimaalai, then Arpudha Thiruvandadi. That is to say, like Mūta Tirupathikam is 22 hymns, whereas Irattai Manimaalai is 20 and Arpudha Thiruvandadi is 101 hymns. So, just before 10 days, I've been on my field work, and fortunately, I've been to Tenkasi temple, especially to visit this particular temple for its Chitra Shabas. Because in case of Shiva, there are Panja Shabas. The last one is the Chitra Shabas, that is at Kuttalam. So in Tenkasi, actually, I wanted to take a photograph of Kāraikkālammaiyār. That was my main concern too, because much of the images that I'm using, that either it has been taken up earlier or some 5-6 years back, or from museum collection I've been using. But particularly for this conference, I wanted to include a fresh image that I should take it now. So this was the image that I took it from the Kashi Vishwanath temple at Tenkasi. So Kāraikkālammaiyār has makes one particular point, and she's very clear about it. That is, she wanted herself to be transformed from a charming maid to a pay. I just don't want to repeat the story of the whole Kāraikkālammaiyār, but her transformation is the main concern in here. So the transformation, what she expects from a charming maid to an old lady or a pay, to say like, was very well versified in one of her Mūta Tirupathikam. Kongai Tiragi Naramulandu Gundukan Venbat Kuli Bayit Pangi Sivanda Parkal Nindu Paratuir Neer Kangalai Kalar Penbay Tangi Alari Ulargatil Tamil Tal Sade Yettu Tisayum Visi Ang Kulirthanal Adum Yengal appaṉ Idandiru Alangade. So this verse is very much important, that how Ammayār was wanted to transfer herself from particularly to a charming maid to a pay. That is, the translation goes as veins protruding breast, bulging eyes, white teeth, ravenous belly, red hair, long fangs, bony ankle with legs, the female gown, reside, howl and scream in the burning cremation forest, mated hair spinning around the 8 direction, cooling the body of the heat. Dancing is my father who exists in the Thiruvalangadu. So this is how she herself, to say like, she clearly identifies herself, her transformation in one particular stanza. Okay. Now Ammayār reached to say like, there is one particular context in her story that's very important, that Ammayār, when she wanted to go to see the Lord in Kailasha, she didn't walk on her legs, but she took the long way in through her head. and walk through the hands. That is a particular thing about Ammaiyār. Ammaiyār reached the Vellimalai, that is the silver hill, the snow-capped Kailasha. Pleased with her devotion, Uma called her Ammaye, thou the mother. Shiva in turn asked her what she wanted. The reply was that she should always be at the foot when he presents the unearthly dance. That is to say, like in Periya Puranam, it clearly says that Arava ni aadumbodu adiyinil irukka. That was the wish of Kāraikkālammaiyār. To translate, thou, the snake wielder, Arava is snake wielder, I should be at thy feet when you dance. So this is one particular image that we get it from a high Chola image from Egmore Museum. Here you can see that how Kāraikkālammaiyār walked through her hands to reach the hilltop of the Kailasha. And especially the portraiture of Ammaiyār during the high Chola period, it becomes a very predominant one, especially starting from Rajaraja, and then after you can see that slowly the image of Kāraikkālammaiyār being accommodated in almost all the Nataraja images that are on the Devakosta, and especially some are very beautiful. That we can see that particularly in reality during the early Chola period, we don't find neither the Jvarakeshwara nor the Ammaiyār being present at the feet of Śiva-Naṭarāja. It would be usually plain in context, but during the high Chola period, the image gets a prominent place. So here we see that Ammaiyār being placed on the left side the Nataraja image, and on the other side we can see the three-legged Jvarakeshwara is dancing. So particularly, I wanted to raise one particular issue in here, especially about the wood carvings, that is the temple car images. It's very much important for one particular understanding, because how the in the present context, that what are the problems we get while reading the that is the images from the Ter, that is temple car. So this particular image is from Tantondishwaram temple, Tirunavallur, that is on the South Pennar basin. It is supposed to be the birthplace of Sundara. Especially there are particularly the temple is considered to be one of the Paral Petra Salam also. And here you can see that there is a Uddha Tandava image, and there is an image of appaṉ. But in reality, the particular Ter has been repaired or rebuilt. In reality, I should call it rebuilt. So you can never see in a original temple car, especially with that of a Urdhva Tandavam image, immediately next to the Urdhva Tandavam, there would be a Shaiva Nayanmar image. That is not at all possible, because there is a set right of tradition in the temple car. So here, let me get into this point. In the next few slides, I'll be describing about the problem what we are facing while reading the images from the temple car. Particularly here, was Kūtan Adalvallan Nataraja a cult murti? That becomes one more question. During the time of Ammaiyār, the Kūtan temple at Chidambaram must have been at the incipient stage of its evolution. Ammaiyār offers unhinging clues to the Bhakti orientation of the Murti. She notes the garlands of the flowers that were presented at the feet of the Lord when chanting the Namavali of his glory. Namale, Eason Eason Punnadike Pumale Kundu Punaindana. There seems to have prevailed a reaction against the cult of the dancer. That is to say, Ammaiyār says, Ivarai Poloru Ivarai Poruludara Matar Ellam Ivarai Igalvade Kandir Ivar Tamadu Pugalkola Meni Podipusi Yen Panindana Pekolam Kandar Pirar. Those who do not understand the philosophy of Ivar, him the dancer, talk ill of him. You see, he has the whole holy ashes smeared all over his flowering body, which is envisioned. So here you can see that this is the particular thing that this particular quotation only I recalled when Professor Satyamurthy was speaking about that whoever do not understand the philosophy of the dance of Shiva, it is to say like the demon is not outside, but it is inside. Especially in the good example would be the story of Daksha. So here now I'm getting back to the problem of the temple car images. Here you can see that this particular arrangement. So the first and the last image are newly carved one, and the middle three are old one. So this is not in reality. I can give you a beautiful example that the representation is not in this order at all, because if the first one is going to be Nandi and the fourth one cannot be Nandi. So at present, in the name of conservation or in the name of repair, what we are doing to the heritage monuments would need to be reconsidered. So let me finish this particular Ther problem and get back to the literature again. So this particular image is from the Tharukavaneswara temple at Parayathurai from Tiruchi district. So when it is a Urdhva Tandavam image, the image gets the middle place in the temple car. So at the side, either at the first one would be the Nandi, and then can be Brahma and Vishnu, and then can Devi also get a place. Or here in particularity, this here we see that Nandi, Sadashiva, then comes the Urdhva Tandavam, accompanied by Vyagarapada and Patanjali. They are very clearly carved, and then the fourth one comes the Brahma, and the fifth one is the Vishnu playing the flute. So this arrangement, you can see that I wanted to make a point on this particular Ther also. This particular Ther is not in use for at least past 15 years. Yet they have not repaired, and the images are very well protected, and it's just on the roadside between Trichy and Karur. So in the name of conservation and repair, what we do with that of the temple cars is to say like that becomes really a complication while reading the literature and trying to follow with that of the sculptural alignment. It creates a lot of problem. So rather than at least we have to make a point with whomsoever it be that before they repair or reconstruct anything, that they have to make a complete photo documentation and leave it with the temple authorities. So that would serve the purpose how the alignment was of the iconographical forms of any deity was there before 100 to 200 years. This gives us enough idea to read the images with that of the in the literature background. That's my particular point in here. So here, when it is a Bhūdava Tandavam, we get such a lineup. When it is a simple Ananda Tandavam image, that is casually done with that of the temple car. Here we get the arrangement in this case. You can see that Dakshinamurti, Shiva, then comes Nataraja, and the Skanda, Murugan images are in here. This also is from Tiruparayatthurai only. Here, why I am making this particular point on this particular Tiruparayatthurai in the sense means we get a very beautiful image of Mohini and Shiva and Mohini making love. That is the most important point in here. These two images are at a corner facing each other. That is, that you can see that at the corner there is a cut, and one image is on the one side and the next one each facing each other. So the first one is Mohini seducing the Vashamashura. We can see that Mohini enchantingly standing there, and Vashamashura keeping his all his dance performance are shown, and finally he touches his with his own hand on the head, and he burns down into ashes. So that is the first one of the first image. And the second image, after the end of Vashamashura, you can see that Shiva becomes very much fond of Mohini's, Vishnu's Mohini form, and he gets closer to her. Shiva and Mohini, that is Mohini Vishnu, are in alliance, and so you can that Shiva ejaculates his sperm. So the sperm being received by Vishnu as Mohini, in the hand itself there is a baby-like thing, what we call we can clearly call this particular thing as delivery of Shasta. That is particularly through Tamil literature, we get the term Kai Annan, the one who was born in the hand. So particularly for such a thing, that's what I'm emphasizing in here, that please do not disturb the images in temple car. That makes us a really lot of complication, because today we see many temple cars are being protected in the museums. That's well and good. But for some sake, if they try to disturb the lineup of the images, that such identity would be very difficult for us to read through differently. Okay, now getting back to my lecture, the literary problem, it might reveal the fact that the gruesome setting of Arangam stage, the retinue that follow him, example, the snake and the animals, were not acceptable group of the cultist. And there seems to have prevailed a reaction against his cult. This may be the reason why the cultists Ammaiyār and Tirumular were dedicated to propagate the cult of Pūtan, Adalvallan, or Nataraja. Such occurrence could have been common at the budding stage of the history of the Bhakti-oriented civilization. It may categorically be added that the Bhakti of Ammaiyār revolves around the Virat personality of the cosmic dancer. So, if at all you are able to follow this iconographical formulation of the Navalur and that of Tiruparayatthurai, it makes a very clear juncture to us that the alignment of the images becomes very much important, especially to read through the literature and follow it from the sculpture. And yeah, I just wanted to make one particular point in here, that is to say, like, we cannot take it for granted that all the bronzes that are available in the major Shaiva temples are not during the period of the Cholas. Especially during the Vijayanagara Nayaka period, it was a customary in big Shiva temples to station the images of the 63 plus signs on the southern wall section of one of the pragaras, which invariably accommodate the three women signs, Ammaiyār, Mangayarkarasi, and occasionally Tilagavadiya, the sister of Navukarasar. This particular one is from Muneshwaram Temple, Sri Lanka. Some few years back, I went to Sri Lanka for a conference, and by that time I was amazed to see the images of a complete set of Nayanmar images from Muneshwaram Temple, and it has a lot of beautiful iconographical images from Hinduism, and particularly on Kannagi also there are some images. Kāraikkālammaiyār, the presence of Kāraikkālammaiyār in Sri Lanka. I just wanted to recall the particular image from the Pulanurva that earlier we have discussed. In reality, this set of images, it could not be more than 10-20 years earlier. So it should be a new set of images. But there is a set of bronze and also stone images from Muneshwaram Temple. And this the Lalkudi Temple from Trichy, Satta Rishishvara. Here, I just wanted to show you one particular identity. You can see that the three women saints, that is, to say like Ammaiyār, Mangayarkarasi, and Tilagavadiyār. They are here very particularly. We can the second row, the fifth image, and the last one, the last but one row, we see that the checked sari images. So three women saints are clearly being portrayed, and this particular Lalgudi bronze is also not very old one. That is clearly a contemporary one, because when the image was installed, I got a photo by that time, and it was some time back. I went there and I took another photo of this particular set of bronzes. So when the images arrived, the photo was sent to me by a friend of mine. Here, the three women saints, one Ammaiyār is in green color saree, the other two are in red. So now, especially, I have framed my paper in such a way to say, especially, so what was the literature background, then the epithets that has been considered. Epithets in the sense means it's here I'm not taking the Sanskrit epithets, but the epithets that has been used that I have carved out from the Thevaram literature has been completely listed. We get around some 30-40 names for Shiva from Thevaram. Then the third title would be the Atam of Shiva, that is the dance of Shiva. Then his retinue, then the theater. I found this whole paper in such a way, but here I'm not going to discuss all those things, but I just wanted to highlight particular things, that is especially about the how the Lord was so much close to that of the demonic or demonology. That becomes the main idea behind this paper. The dancer presents his recital at the most gruesome and terrific setting in the wild forest, wherein Kalis, coolies, and Pays roam about in search of the Bali, that is food. That is, we get the term Pay, Kali, and Coolie in Mutha Thirupadikam. I've referred to the numbers of the literature, and do figure predominantly in these skins. The Pays are both masculine and feminine, as there is a clear note on Pen Pay, that there is a female cow. They formed a group and consisted of vanguard of Kali, who was followed by the army of girls, that is Pei Kanam Chula, that is army, that group of Ganams, the Pei Ganams, Chula, the Lord was going around. There are several types of Peis, such as Sirupe, that is the small gaul, Perangkarpe, and then Kollivaipe. So particularly, I've used this image of Chamunda from the Bhubaneswar Museum from Orissa. This is very clearly and very closely related to the terms of Ammayār. That is why I have used this particular image in here. Ammayār presents a graphic description of the pay in this particular verse to say, the female gown screams whose breasts are hanging and veins bulging. So here you can compare the, let me read the translation and you can compare it with the image. The female gown screams whose breasts are hanging and veins bulging. They have ball-like eyes, white teeth, pit-like belly, and locks of hair, red in color, teeth protruding, and elongated bony legs. So this particular verse fits to a image of Chamunda from Orissa region. Why, how all this, how this representation happens in the sense means to say, in reality, the description of Kali was fittingly compassed with the images of Kali and Kala on the Rakshasa gateway of Mahakuta and several others in the caves of Ellora, numbers, especially 14, 16, 21, 22, and so on. Definitely, Kāraikkālammaiyār is earlier than these plastic redactions. But how her ideas travel to distant land is the most enigmatic question. Well, if Shankara from Kaladi could travel as far as Kashmir and Kasi, why not the ideas of Ammayār to Mahakuta and Ellora? The fire-generating girls with lolling eyes present the Bacchanalian dances, snatch banning corpses, and devour the same. So, to quote here, Sulalum all vili kollivai pei sulandu tunai kayotti adi tal eriyum pindadi tandadi tindran kadu kaatil. So the fire generating gouts with lolling eyes present the Bacchanalian dances, snatch burning corpses, and devour the same. That is the translation for this particular quote of Ammayār. Not knowing the corpus is dead, a ghoul shouts and screams, pointing at it with the index finger, sheds lightning fire and dashes at it to knock it down while the other pays run away. Ammayār beautifully adds, the pays were either short, Syria, or tall, Nadir, and their abdomen emaciated. For a dramatic setting, the pays in Indian art see the classical impression of the Hoysala art, a few of whom involved in sexual orgasm. So the earlier one, the Chamunda image, I took it from the Bhubaneswar region, and now we can compare the same image with that of the Hoysala art also. So there is a good connection when we read the literature and simultaneously read the sculpture. The depiction is very clearly following with that of the narration of Ammayār. I'm not saying that is the based on the literature the image was made, but in the content, the visualizing the image was based on the literature evidences that becomes. Even from the regional literature they could have taken it, but it suits for the time when we read with that of the Ammayār literature. So, chief among the retinue and the spectators of the dance of Shiva was Uma. Shiva danced to be seen by Malaimagal, that is the daughter of the hill, who was frightened by the sickness by which Lord willed the bodily movement. The Lalita Shakasranama number with 232. That is a beautiful Namavali in Lalita Shakasranama. That is here. I wanted to emphasize this particularly here. Maheshwara Mahakalpa Mahatandava Shakshini. That is the a whole term of the Lalita Shakasranama 232. She is the witness of the great dance of Maheshwara when he performs it at a time within bracket the end. That is the Mahakalpa after the dissolution of the cosmos. So that is in Sivananda would say that Shiva is like a dancing peacock. He is blue-throated. That is blue-throated to say like Nilakanta, to say blue-throated. The sky is his crescent. Serpents are his necklace. He is Sakala, as is in the peacock endowed with the plumage. He dances in joy, looking at the beautiful daughter of the mountain like a peacock that would dance on the arrival of the black cows, inviting the peahens. So this particular image is from the Chitra Mandapa of Kuttalam. Here you could clearly see that the whole image, that is the portraiture of the Kanagashaba of Chidambaram being portrayed in the Chitra Shaba of Kutrala. Here you can see that both Vyagrapada and Patanjali standing nearby, and one side we see upper. On the next side you can see that Kāraikkālammaiyār being seated and Malaimagal being standing and wondering about the dance of Nataraja, and the other side you can see the whole retinue of the gods and the demigods being standing over, and both Surya and Chandra are present in this particular thing. So particularly this Chitra Mandapa has been reworked, and they have worked, yeah, I have to accept it. It has been reworked well. But yet I can see that there are some problems, but the conservation being done in a very good manner. That's very much important with that of the Kuttalam Chitra Mandapa. And finally, the idioms are remarkably brought out in the rocket art of the Ellora in Cave 15 and of the Parangundram North Cave. Others in the cadre of the retinue were the wild animals that included Kurunari, Ori, that is Kurunari is the small jackal, and Ori the jackal, Nari, fox, Kaduvan, that is the male monkey, Sirukuhai, that is the small owl, woman, that is the large horned owl, and Kuhai, Kaduku, vulture. These are the animals and the birds that were around him. Andalai and Andai were also present in there, and Pangadai, a bird. All these things were around the dance of Shiva. These were notorious cannibals and devoured the corpses in the crematorium. It is graphically added that the jackal bites the white skull that was perished by a grass. The owl feeds on the brine and the flesh of the corpus. So this is how the Ammaiyār narrates about the great dance and how what are the animals and the birds that were surrounding him becomes the major concern of her literature identity. And finally, to say like from the Silpacharya of the Elephanта and Ellora caves of the to the Nayaka temple at Madurai, you find a cardinal link that which perhaps is the Mangal Soot, that is the sacred thread, is the chart that binds the religious tradition from Kashmir in the north to Kanyakumari in the south, and of the immortal Bharatavarsha or Jvambudvipa from Gandhara in the west to the Gauda Bengal or Kamarupa in Assam in the east. Therefore, I find a link between the Ammaiyār of the Shaivite lore to the Nayaka period art. It may be relevant in the context of the immortality of the Hindu heritage, especially to understand the dance of Shiva. And particularly, I have to make one point on the presence of Kāraikkālammaiyār in the Southeast Asian art, especially in the Cambodia and Wat temples. We get at least 4 or 5 image representation of Kāraikkālammaiyār presence at the foot of Nataraja. This can be clearly understood that there was a direct link between during the period of Rajendra Chola, and exclusively these temples has been built particularly during this period, and so Ammaiyār present cannot be in reality challenged in case of the Southeast Asian art. But I have to accept one more thing also, that though for some reason it has to be seen not only as Ammaiyār, but also other regional implications were also added into this particular Ammaiyār depiction, but especially as the periodization becomes very important in here, 11th century. So in my case, I presume the image is none other than Kāraikkālammaiyār. Okay, thank you. Thank you.